I'm Deb Fabricatore from Everything ALS. I'm glad to see you all here. I'm so pleased to introduce my friend Jodi O'Donnell-Ames. She is a former teacher, author, member of the Union Fire Company and Rescue Squad, and a tireless advocate for ALS. She's also the founder and community outreach director of Hope Loves Company. It's a nonprofit organization committed to providing educational and emotional support to children battling ALS in their lives. She lives with her husband in Titusville, New Jersey. Their children, all young adults now, have lost a parent to ALS before the age of 11. ALS. She was chosen as People Magazine's Hero Among Us and is the recipient of many awards, including the Russ Berrie Making a Difference Award, the AFP Association of Fundraising Professionals Founders Award, the TCNJ Alumni Humanitarian Award, and the Princeton Mercer Chamber of Commerce Women in Achievement Award. In addition, she was invited to give a Tedx talk on leading a life with purpose. Kara Haggerty will also join us, and she serves as the executive director of Hope Loves Company. Jodi, welcome. Kara, welcome.
Thank you so much, Deb, for having us. Thank you, everyone, for being on this call. And I just want to give a heads up that I am in Alabama with my son and my daughter-in-law, my husband, and my 3-year-old granddaughter. So if that door opens and a cute little girl runs through, that's Amelia. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. But I am so grateful to be here and to share this story. I know everyone on this call, everyone has been touched by ALS in some way, shape, or form. So the accolades in that bio mean nothing. But what does mean something is the fact that when I was 29 years old and my late husband, Kevin, was 30, those 3 letters, ALS, came into our lives. We were diagnosed, and I say we, and all of the caregivers out there know what I mean by that. We were diagnosed at the University of Pennsylvania. We had a 2.5-year-old daughter, Alina, at home. And I remember we were, of course, devastated by that news. And I remember that someone shared with us that we were our own percentage. And at the time in 1995, and don't age me, but at the time in 1995, those words that we are our own percentage held such weight for us as a young couple, thinking about having a second child, thinking about a better job, thinking about a bigger house. And unfortunately, at the time, there wasn't anything available for Kevin. We did advocate very much. We advocated in DC. We also were a part of the FDA hearing for Ryuzol. We were on CNN. And we were also a big part of the bill to reduce the waiting period for Medicaid, for those living with ALS. So Kevin progressed the way most people with ALS do. He needed a wheelchair and he needed a feeding tube, and 3.5 years into his diagnosis, he decided he was going to be vented. And that was a really, really happy day for us as a family. We made lots of plans, but sadly, Kevin lost his battle 1.5 years later. And at the time of his passing, he was 36 years old, and he had taught me so much. He made me a better person, and for that, I will always be grateful. And I knew in my heart of hearts that my journey, our journey, was not going to end there. And I find that this is pretty common among the ALS people in the ALS community, that we are so touched by this journey that we must find a way to continue the mission, to spread awareness, and to make a difference in the lives of others. So 2 years after actually 3 months after Kevin passed away, I started with the ALS Hope Foundation in Philadelphia with Terry Hyman Patterson. And I worked there for 2 years, and I served on the board for 10. And in that time, I met my current husband, Warren Benton Ames, through a book called What Did You Learn Today? Warren lost his wife, Tina Singer Ames, to ALS after a 6-month battle, and their children, Nora and Adam, were also very young. 2 years after that, we became a family. We got married, and our 3 children were the bridal party. I just want to say before I continue that when Kevin passed away, something that happened really resonated with me. At his funeral, there were people, probably 500 people, and a long line waiting to say goodbye to Kevin when I gave the eulogy. We also received numerous cards, but out of the hundreds and hundreds of cards that we received, only one was addressed with Alina's name present. And that little thing resonated with me. And so while my current husband and I were raising our 3 children, Nora, Adam, and Alina, who had all lost a parent to ALS before the age of 11, something became alive in me that, hey, what about children who love someone with ALS and who are part of this journey, who are also a part of caregiving? Do we think about the children? Do we recognize them? So with that, the idea of Hope Loves Company was born. So we have a presentation today that we'd like to share with you. And I know Kara is here as well. I'm so grateful that she is the executive director of Hope Loves Company. Hope Loves Company is the result of a lot of love and hard work, and it started right out of my home in Titusville, New Jersey. And it basically has grown because of good people who care about this mission. So with that, we'll go to our slide presentation. And I know Kara is on this call.
Yep.
So Kara, would you?
Sure. Thank you, Jodi and Deb and McFinn for including us tonight. One of the greatest things about being a part of this community is meeting so many incredible people. And right now I see there's 81 people on the call, and I'm really grateful to get to know you all over the course of this meeting. But as Jodi and Deb shared, I'm the executive director of Hope Loves Company. I'll have been with the organization for 3 years in March. And I met Jodi about a year after my boyfriend lost his dad to ALS. So he and his sister were in high school when their dad was diagnosed, and they were both students in college when he passed away. And I've seen some of the ways that an ALS diagnosis and ALS loss can affect the entire family, especially young caregivers. My boyfriend was his father's primary caregiver, and he passed away in January of 2017. So the anniversary is approaching. And I'm grateful to have found this organization and to have found Jodi and to bring that passion to a really, really wonderful cause. So thank you for including us tonight. And we're excited to share more about our mission and ways that we can support young caregivers of ALS.
Thank you, Kara. So with that, we have a little bit of information here, and mostly we want to be able to give you some background and welcome your questions and let you know how we can be of help. That's what's most important. So Hope Loves Company, as I said, started with one simple idea, and really the book, What Did You Learn Today? From our home, we had, I think, 300 copies printed. And I remember just sending out the book, What Did You Learn Today? It's a children's book. And again, written by Tina Singer Ames. And I would send it out with a note saying, I have raised 3 children. And this book is really helpful. And I'm here. Here's my cell phone. Give me a call. So that's really how this started. So Hope Loves Company is the only nonprofit in the United States with the sole mission of providing both educational and emotional support to children and young adults who either have had or currently have a loved one battling ALS. So we started with sending out the free books, and that kind of morphed into one family fun day where we brought families together with young children in Pennsylvania. That idea, with the help of one of my high school friends, started the investigation of how can we elongate this opportunity to be together, to share experiences, to feel less alone, to gather and support one another, and to have fun at the same time. And that's where Camp HLC started. So Camp HLC is a weekend retreat, not only for children within the ages of 6 to 21, but also the entire family. And it's everything that we do is free of charge. That was very important to us from the beginning, that we didn't want our families to have to worry about the expenses. We've been there, done that, and so free of charge is good. So we now run, Hope Loves Company runs Camp HLC in New Jersey, Illinois, Georgia next weekend, and I know Carol will tell you more about that, California, Massachusetts, and Indiana. And not only have we done these camps, but we've done them consecutively year after year. So it's been quite an experience to be able to just love everyone we meet and provide this great resource of a weekend, which is family. I know that was said at the beginning, and that's exactly how we feel at Hope Loves Company, that we are all family in this journey. So with that, you know, why do children need extra support? So I want to just give one example from my own family. So I mentioned that our children were under the ages of 11 when they lost either mom or dad to ALS. And when we got married years later, we moved into a new community, a very nice community. And we had a new school, we had new jobs. And I asked, as a former teacher, I asked the school if they had any programs for children who had lost someone. And this is a great school. And no, they didn't have anything available at the time. It brought me to the understanding that it was up to me to, as a teacher and as a mother, to really put valuable resources in my children's hands, to have great communication skills, to let them know that it's okay to be sad, to talk about their parents that were no longer here and are no longer here, to have pictures of them as well. So these things that I started writing down reminded me that one day there could be an organization to provide examples and resources that would answer these tough questions and provide opportunities to continue communications and support when ALS is involved. So my example is my son, who is here with me tonight. When he lost his mother when he was 7 or 8 years old, and again, it was a 6-month battle. And on his 13th birthday, he woke up, he was under his bed. And I remember crawling under the bed, and it still brings me tears to this day, but I remember crawling under the bed and saying, "Adam, what's wrong?" And he said, "I don't remember my mom's voice." So I immediately went through all of these pictures and tried to find videos so that he could hear his mom's voice, and we couldn't find any. They didn't have the equipment to videotape. So I asked this extended group of people, family and friends, please provide us with some video so that we can share Tina's voice with him. And that is just one example. So our children these days, you know, they have a lot on their plates, especially now. And there's so much to adjust in this ALS journey. Many times they feel feelings that they may not feel comfortable sharing with their parents just because they're kids, and they worry also about upsetting you. So all of these reasons that we have listed here, in addition to balancing school and responsibilities, their friends, their social life, self-care, if we ever, any of us even know what that means. um, and just the idea that maybe they're going through this experience without anyone else understanding. So that is why Hope Loves Company exists, and why we continuously are working hard to increase our programs for children year round. So with that, we'll go to the next slide. Yes, so having
you know
these.
what? We don't see the slide, guys. It's
Okay.
not shared.
Okay.
You can't see the screen?
No.
Did you see it before?
I see you. Yeah. And then it's.
I can see it.
I can see
I'm
it.
gonna
Oh,
stop.
really? Okay.
and
Okay.
share it
Might be.
again.
Might be it's just me.
Okay.
Everybody can see it. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
great.
good.
Great, thank you. So having programs in place year-round for children, and starting with the first touch of, a book or a story that they can relate to, and start the conversation of ALS and what that means, to them at their age, their level of understanding. We've seen 4-year-olds who have a huge understanding of what is happening and be concerned. And we've also seen 10-year-olds who have no knowledge of what is going on. So, as parents, we know our children the best, and we know how to best support them with when to share information, how to share information, and also as that evolves based on their abilities, and as new things take place in your home and new changes take place in your home. So with this support, we are hoping that there are diminished feelings of isolation. No one understands what I'm going through, especially with teenagers. They feel that way regardless of what's happening in their lives. Add ALS to that situation, and they truly feel as though they're outliers. So we want them to feel included. We want to encourage new relationships with others who understand. We want them to understand coping skills and what that really means. Getting angry and getting sad is all very normal. What do we do with that sadness? What do we do with that anger? And we also want to provide fun opportunities, and hopefully at Camp HLC, parents and children can create those together. That's always fun to see a parent also do the giant swing. And this is a great chance through our programs to have bonding. So these are just some of the examples of things that we've put in place, and we welcome new ideas, and we welcome, especially with teachers and people who are constantly researching what is best, professionals who are researching what is best for children as they are facing not only grief, but anticipatory grief, and these changes that we as adults have a hard time accepting and understanding. So Kara, I believe, is going to go to our next slide and just talk about the diversity of programs that we have in place, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thanks, Jodi. Yeah, so as Jodi shared, everything that she just shared led to all of these programs. The first being a Family Fun Day, which evolved into Camp HLC, which is a program that we now have in 6 states and hope to continue to grow that and expand that reach. And this year, like all organizations and schools and nonprofits, we pivoted to the virtual platform. So we have done 5 virtual Camp HLCs. We have our final camp of the season this weekend, and it's all done on Zoom. Everyone gets a care package in the mail, which has everything they need for the camp weekend. They get their shirt, they get a tie-dye kit, art supplies, a s'mores kit, and anything else they need for an interactive and fun weekend. So at Camp HLC, as Jodi shared, we kind of have four main goals. And one is to connect children and families with peers who share in their experiences. For many of our campers, Camp HLC is the first time that they meet another child who knows what ALS is. And for the first time, they don't have to explain what it means and what their life is like when they get home from school and they get off the school bus, and how valuable it is to have that connection with someone who has that shared experience. We also want to provide the purely fun recreational activities. So they vary from campground to campground, but swimming, archery, ropes courses, the zip line, icebreakers, and group sports and games. We also want to give our campers the opportunity to share their experiences in a safe environment. So we have counselors or licensed social workers to help facilitate what we call group shares or healing circles, which are essentially a peer support group. And we actually are doing those virtually now, once a month for our teens and once a month for our 10 to 12-year-olds. So we do those on the first and second Wednesday of every month, and we'll continue to do that program year round. It was established out of need caused by COVID, but has been a really valuable way for all of our families to maintain their connections year round. So we do plan to continue to offer those. And finally, we try to encourage the development of healthy coping skills, as Jodi shared. So at Camp HLC, the dialogue and discussion at group shares, and which happen just organically in our cabins and during different activities. We also do art therapy, music therapy, yoga and meditation, and we talk about different ways that we can practice self-care. And so we do all of those things at the virtual camp and physical camp. The entire family is welcome to join us. We have a really long list of questions to make sure that each campground meets all of our inclusive and accessibility requirements, so people living with ALS can join us at camp. In addition to Camp HLC and our new virtual programs, we also send Hug of Hope care packages. We had our first ever teen retreat in 2018 and hope to continue that and focus the weekend on health and wellness and coping skills. We send children's books about ALS, Jodi's Caregiver Guide. We also share, and other books, journals or mindfulness guides that we can share with our teens and young adults. We will share our mission and our programs and the reason that we exist with schools. And I'm sure many of you on this call can relate to many of the calls that we get at Hope Loves Company are from parents who have tried to explain what's going on to their children's educators who just don't understand. So we welcome the opportunity to speak with counselors, principals, teachers, and to also go into schools and host seminars, whether it's in person or virtually. And with our younger kids, we actually can do book readings of our children's books. Oops, my Zoom popped up. Are you guys seeing this? I'm going to minimize that. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. We also have a Young Ambassador program for high school age to 22 years old, and it's an advocacy and leadership program. And we also have the Susan B. Anderson Scholarship, which is actually open right now. So if you have a student who is pursuing a 2 or 4 year university or trade school program, we have a scholarship of $1,000 that we will award to 3 recipients this year. And that information's on our website, and we can also put it in the chat, but applications actually close 2 weeks from today on December 2nd. So it's open to any young adult or student affected by ALS. And I think I covered everything. We also do parent meet and greets or adult meet and greets. It doesn't have to necessarily be parents, but any adults whose lives are touched by ALS, caregivers, people living with ALS. We meet once a month just as an informal conversation to share resources and to connect and to laugh. Does anyone have any questions so far?
So Kara, I know we have a half hour, and I know we could probably talk about, about this for about an hour. So I just wanted to add two things before we hop into questions. One is the best thing that happened to us after our first camp, just so you can get an understanding of what camp provides, and we could share testimonies as well. But we had a young adult, she was 15, who came to our very first camp. Her father had lived with ALS for a year and a half prior to them arriving at camp. And at the end of the weekend, we asked everyone to do a survey. And she was kind of on the peripheral, wasn't as, didn't participate in as many activities. She's very shy. So we were questioning how effective is this program? And her survey that she completed on her own as a teenager was, for the first time in a year and a half, I did not have to explain ALS to anyone and how important that was to me. No one will ever know. So when you come to any of our programs, it's already there that we understand ALS, and that is just a comfort. That is just a comfort, and the rest is all icing on the cake. So I wanted to share that. I also wanted to just explain that for our schools, and Kara just wonderfully shared all of our programs, that I have written a book called The Stars That Shine. We have Tina's book that's called What Did You Learn Today? We can actually, and we've done this, and it's really effective, especially now that we're all virtual, is send a copy of the book to a teacher. If a child is really feeling isolated, then the teacher can say, hey, we have this great book. It's about ALS. So-and-so's daddy has ALS. And they can talk about it, have a discussion, have a curriculum based around that book. And then I can come in as a guest author and answer questions. And that way, the child who's in the classroom who really feels isolated and alone can now have that information that his peers have a little bit of an idea, a little inkling of the fact that what's happening with his mom or dad. And it was very effective. So I just wanted to share that example with you, both examples. And I know we have more to share, but we just want to get a heads up from Debbie to make sure that we are not going over. I know we would probably need to address questions, and we can tell you that Kara and I can both tell you that if you call our office, one of us will answer. And as a parent, I will give you my cell number. So please just reach out if you're interested in learning more, if we don't have time to address your question today.
Thank you guys all so much for coming. This was wonderful information, both for our food and for our families. Just a little back on me. My dad passed away from ALS, so this is all very useful information, and I'm so excited to be able to share it.
You guys, and I loved all of your presentations. You had really great nuggets that I will take home to my dad, who, by the way, has ALS. My brother Zaid and I are actually helping to moderate, and our dad was diagnosed in 2017, and so thank you for joining our little group and giving us all this useful information. And so the next question is actually for Jodi, and it is about talking to different age children and how to cater describing ALS to different ages.
Okay, yeah. So as a parent, we know our child best, and we know how much information that he or she can handle. So I have a great friend, her name is Charnel. She might even be on this call. And she reminded me of, what do you need to know today? And I really like the idea of sharing enough information with children based on their age. So a level of understanding based on their age level and what they can handle, for what they need to know today. If you give them too much information, it might be overwhelming. you also don't want to be, you don't want to lie, so you have to kind of balance that based on your maturational and emotional age of your child. So there could be a child who, as I said earlier, who's 6, who might understand much more or be very sensitive and directly ask, is daddy really sick? I think in that case, it's good to be honest. But you might also have a child who's 10 or 12 who may not have that same level understanding. So our children are very unique, and it's best to honor who they are. And you'll also, if you pay attention, you will learn based on observation and communication how much your child knows. So just be very in tuned and intuitive to your child's behavior. So thank you.
Do you have any recommendations on what are considered age appropriate assistance that children can give in terms of daily care or ADLs for their parents who have ALS?
So again, our children are very different, and we have seen children as young as 3 providing feeding, helping with feeding tube, and children as young as 6 providing with, brushing hair and doing simple grooming. So if a child is interested, then, and there's no harm to that child or the patient, simple things, brushing hair, helping put on socks, helping with adjusting a pillow, simple things. Child really finds value and importance in that role. So, and also has that opportunity to bond with the person they love. We have seen where children are doing personal care as well. I know that's got to be very challenging, but we had an experience at one of our camps where a 6-year-old actually was helping a parent with toileting. Obviously that's a challenging one, and I think that if that can be avoided, and I know it can't always, but children are resilient, children are curious, and I think what they should be doing are the things that they're interested in, and the things that are providing, still giving privacy to their parents and to their loved ones.
What are ways that adult children could potentially be involved in HLC?
There are many ways that adult children, first and foremost, I just want to share that our camps are for children ages 6 to 21. However, if adults want to be a part of that and to volunteer, having volunteers throughout the weekend, especially those who have experience working with children, who have skills like singing, who can do improv, who can play the guitar. So our camp experience involves many various activities such as art therapy, music therapy. We have singing as well as campfires. We have our physical activities. We do jewelry making. So we always welcome people who can be a part of that. And even just the simplest idea of being a buddy. So our buddies are children that come to camp, whether it's virtually or physically, who may or may not have an adult with them. So a buddy would be kind of like a bigger brother or sister to support them. So we definitely can utilize the help of adults who are above 21 years old. And I think that the people who do come to Camp HLC as adults also benefit. So it's good for everyone involved. And Kara, if you have anything else to add to that, please do.
Yeah, the one thing I did want to add is that we've had a lot of young adults who are just under 21 or maybe just over 21 who are hesitant about coming to Camp HLC as a camper. but it is beneficial for them to come as a camper. So we recommend taking on some type of leadership role at camp, whether it's as a big buddy or helping out during music, or if you enjoy scrapbooking or jewelry making. At our virtual camps, we've had 2 of our young ambassadors who are 15 and 16 help facilitate improv and dance and jewelry making. And it's one, they get to spend the majority of the weekend as a camper, but also in this leadership role. And the younger campers look up to them. And I think that it's beneficial to be a camper, but to also have a voice and to take on a leadership role and, feel pride in that. So it's really common, and not just for the older campers. Sometimes younger campers are hesitant to come to camp. We've had a lot of, parents say that they had to get them there kicking and screaming, but on Sunday they didn't want to leave. So thanks, Jodi. I did want to add that.
Yes, and I'll add to that as well, that if a child of any age is hesitant, as Kara mentioned, we can connect him or her with another camper before camp so that they feel like they are in touch and connected with someone prior to camp starting.
So the next question is for Jodi, and it's regarding what exactly the qualifications are that someone would have to have in order to volunteer at the camp, at HLC.
Well, basically, you have to have a big heart and a desire to serve and to be there for our families. At the beginning of every Camp HLC, we want our volunteers to know that the weekend is primarily for our families. So everyone who comes to Camp HLC as a volunteer is doing so to serve and to bring joy and positive experiences to the families who attend and to the children, of course. So you definitely have to be a caring, kind, and considerate person. If you have experience, as we said earlier, with other skills, such as talents, musical, improv, if you're an EMT, if you're a nurse, if you are someone who can play an instrument, these are all wonderful things to add. For every person who volunteers with us, we have some training that takes place. We also do background checks. And it's a requirement for an entire weekend. So know that if you are interested, camp takes place from Friday to Sunday. And because we want you to build and establish a positive rapport with everyone there, and we want them to feel that they are being celebrated and appreciated, we want our volunteers to be able to join us for a weekend. So know that you will be volunteering a weekend. If for some reason you are a counselor and you wanted to just help with our support sessions or group shares, then that would be an introduction at the beginning of camp, and then an hour session with each of our groups. We have 3 age groups. We have our adventurers, our hikers, and our guides. So thank you. And again, Kara and I welcome everyone to check out Hope Loves Company. We are on all forms of social media. We can be found at hopelovescompany.org. We have a documentary, and if you go to our website, you'll see lots of great links about our virtual camps, which have been going on since August, September. They've been taking place. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you. And we
Thank
get
you.
over, 500 to 1,000 people watching the video. So we know that this will get a lot of hits, because if people can't make it, they usually watch the video. So thank you very much.
It's an extended family, folks. And what an evening to see all of you here tonight. Did anybody come up with anything that they felt was personal to them that they have in their lives?